Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Wood and I'm part of Ball State University's MSAT program. Today I'm going to be talking and going over my end of semester reflection and my action plans for next semester and the action plans I had for this semester. To start, I'm going to be talking about what this assignment was about, and that had everything to do with professional development. And what that is it establishes a purpose and intention in a conscious design on what we want to change and the audience we want to reach. A professional development is a process guided by a vision and a goal. This assignment has made me realize to develop as a professional is important to grow personally. I believe that if anything has occurred this semester, it has been personal growth and strength with the knowledge I've gained from this assignment. Throughout my fall semester, I had two goals. The first one was advocating for our Ball State athletes, and the second one was a personal goal on refining my basket weave tape for clinical sites and for future experiences when I do become a professional athletic trainer. First, I'm going to begin with the topic of advocacy. To be a student athlete, it requires hard work, sacrifice, grit, determination, and an unwavering dedication. It was my goal this semester to make our faculty aware of the ongoing problems with the athletic student body. I was under the impression that our athletes were not given the adequate resources while having to travel with their team, and that is something I wanted to make change towards. After speaking with several of our athletes, student athletic trainers, and preceptors, it was discovered that our athletes are receiving adequate resources and accommodations while on the road. It is stated in the Student Athlete Handbook that students are required to provide their athletic schedules to their professors within the first 2 to 3 days of the semester beginning. They are also required to meet with their athletic academic advisors once a week to discuss their academics, any grades they've received, exams, quizzes they have to take, etc. And there are mandated study tables required for a minimum of 8 hours per week. And online resources are available to help our athletes or student body population with any academic troubles they might experience while on the road. Although these resources are beneficial, they do not strike my purpose for my goal. Through the information gathered by our athletes, it was stated that they must have a GPA of a 2.3 to keep their athletic scholarship and greater or equal of a 2.3 to travel with the team. A GPA of a 2.3 is equivalent to a C average, and most of the programs at Ball State require a minimum of a 3.0 to remain within their academic programs. So, although there are resources provided to our students, faculty and coaching staff believes it is okay to get an average of a grade of a C before negative reinforcements are made. I did make this chart and I did clear all the information with one of our Ball State athletes, and this is just dividing up an athlete's day-to-day life based off the information that was provided to me. So as you can see, 30% of their weekly schedules goes to their classes that they have. At Ball State, you are required for an undergraduate to take a minimum of 12 credit hours to be considered a full-time student, and 120 credit hours are needed to graduate from Ball State with an undergraduate degree. 13% of their week is focused on homework and any academic responsibilities they might have. So, like I said previously, there are mandated study tables for a minimum of 8 hours per week. Athletes are required to meet with their athletic academic advisors once a week or once a semester. Their GPA requirements is anywhere between a 2.3 and a 2.5 to maintain good athletic standing, to make sure they can keep their athletic scholarships, and to make sure they can travel with their team when they have competitions that are outside of our university. But what we have to keep in mind is that there are programs on Ball State's campus that require a GPA of a higher number than what the coaching staff requires of their athletes. And all athletes must meet their homework deadlines unless they were informed of something different by their professors. So a lot of this information, especially the study tables and the meeting with your athletic academic advisor, is mostly geared towards our freshman athletes. They are 100% required to fulfill these responsibilities, but for our upperclassmen, they are not required to go to study tables or meet with their advisors once a week. They have to meet with them at a minimum of once a semester. Next, we're going to go into quizzes and exams, and this takes up about roughly 5% of their week. As we know, quizzes and exams don't necessarily happen every week, but depending on your major, it could. So they must balance those schedules with their professors at the beginning of the semester to make sure they are all in line and set up so they can compete in their athletic competitions. Next, we're going to be going to the athletic side of things. If you're in off season, there's roughly 8 hours of practice a week. And then if you are in competition season, there's roughly 20 hours of practice a week. And that's not even including the strength and conditioning aspect of this. That takes up roughly 13% of an athlete's week, and this happens every day, but the times do vary. So athletes don't have a set schedule. It's just all based off the weight room availability. And finally, competitions, if they are in season, take up 15% of their time. Now, if they're in off season and they aren't having competitions, obviously we can take out the 15% and they will have more time. That can be divided into athletics or it could be divided into academics. It's all based off what the coach wants. But we are a member of the MAC conference and the NCAA D1 athletics. So there are different amounts of competitions each week depending on the sport you are participating in. So if you can see and you look at the numbers, it is clearly shown that our athletes are spending more time practicing, going to competitions, and training rather than putting that time towards their academics. So I believe my advocacy goal was met, but there are numerous resources provided to help our athletes, but further study should be done as to why there aren't higher expectations for them in regard to GPA requirements. Next, I'm going to be discussing my clinical goal on refining my basket weave to where I am confident in my abilities. After careful consideration, I decided to modify my goal to focus on patient and preceptor satisfaction. During my first 2 clinical rotations, I relied on the feedback from my preceptors and patients, while the last 2 focused on feedback from my cohort. The feedback I had gained from my first 2 clinical rotations, which was a Ball State rotation and Newcastle High School, these comments were like, with practice and experience, my taping will improve throughout my career. The durability of my taping can use some work as it was inconsistent from being too tight or too loose. Although time is important, so is accuracy. You seemed unsure when doing a horseshoe. Try it from this angle, and the method was shown to me, and then see how you feel. Some of the comments from my cohort included, take a deep breath. You are so focused on getting it done in 3 minutes. You tense up while taping it, and sometimes that can cause you to make certain reps tighter than others. Don't get frustrated with the pre-rep. It is just there as barrier from being skin-to-skin contact. There were some wrinkles, but your closer strips made it look cleaner. There were a lot of similar comments from people between my first 2 sets of comments from my preceptors and my patients and my cohort. But for my first 2 rotations, I asked these questions and I would write down what was being said to me. When I was doing this for my cohort, I provided this document for them to fill out on comments on things I can improve on, and I would get a grade, basically. E being excellent, F meaning fail. After counting it up, I had most of my grades in the very good or satisfactory level. So although that is disconcerting, it's also motivating. So I can improve. No one can be perfect at everything they do, and there is always room for improvement. So receiving those grades and seeing how there was a majority of the grades within those two categories gives me reason to believe that I'm not perfect. I have made mistakes, but I am doing my job good, but I can improve to do it better. So, did I reach my initial goal on improving my confidence? No. But I did gain valuable advice on things to improve on for next semester when providing patients with a basket weave tape. I believe once I can get out of my own head, it will help my overall performance in every aspect of the program rather than hinder it. Finally, to conclude this, I'm going to be discussing the reason behind why I chose this, and that is because these specific goals relate to me personally and academically. For the first one, I was once an athlete, and I was supposed to play in college sports, but there are similar expectations for playing that were made for when I was playing on my high school team and my travel and college exposure team. For my high school team, they were more in line with Ball State's requirements. As far as my travel and college exposure team, there were numerous expectations that had to be met, and a minimum GPA of a 3.0 was one of the main ones. And if that wasn't met, or any of the other requirements weren't met, you were no longer a part of the team. My coach knew the importance of academics, how it will be the only thing that matters most to obtain a job, and he wanted to make sure that we were well-rounded individuals on and off the field. The reason behind why I chose my second goal is because I believe standards should be made higher for myself, but also I need to work on my self-confidence, and I can do this if I would trust myself like I should be doing. This happens most importantly with school, but a countless number of other activities not relating to my academics as well. With my learning style being hands-on, I thought this goal of refining my basket weave tape would be the perfect way to boost my confidence level while gaining valuable feedback from numerous individuals. Now, a goal I have for next semester and an action plan I have for that is to focus on my self-confidence. This assignment is a prime example on how that can be done. I plan on setting goals and creating action plans on how to complete or achieve those goals. Now, regardless of if I meet my original standards or not, I will still do this because one way, shape, or form, there will be a positive outcome out of the situation. There won't all be negative outcomes. So I will also focus on my strengths and find ways to connect those to my weaknesses into something positive. And finally, if something is not achieved to my standards, I will, like previously stated, find a positive within the situation instead of dwelling on all the negatives. When I do dwell on the negatives, it hinders my confidence on myself and definitely affects my performance. So by doing all of this, it will not only improve my weaknesses, but it will leverage my strengths even more. And then, like previously stated, I do believe that further studies should be done on our athletes as to why there aren't higher expectations for grades. Student comes before athlete, and that is what we should be focusing on, whether you are the student athlete, whether you're the coach or the coaching staff, or a faculty member at the university. GPA is the most critical thing. Sports will not always be there for everybody, so we have to focus more on our education rather than our athletics or outside factors that allow us to have fun and that we enjoy. Thanks so much, everyone.